Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
Hi, this is Tammy Patzer, and I'm really excited to introduce today's guest, Nick Choat. Nick is an international best-selling author, and he helps small business owners grow their business's digital presence. He has more than 3 decades of professional experience, starting as a software developer and evolving to become a digital strategist. He has held executive positions with highly respected brands such as the Walt Disney Company, Ernst Young, the Boeing Company, and VeriSign. He is currently the CEO and owner of Sport Clips Haircuts franchises, leading the expansion of the franchise throughout Southwest Florida. Welcome, Nick.
Yeah, thanks, Tammy. Thanks for having me.
Before I get started, congratulations on becoming an international best-selling author with your new book. That must have been really exciting for you. Can you just tell me a little bit more about your book, and then I'll get into the nuts and bolts of our interview.
Sure, thanks. It was exciting to see the international bestseller designation come across. That's not been the lofty goal that I started out with the book in mind. I really wanted to, with the book, serve the small business owner community around digital marketing. I've seen it's been very underserved over the years. And Online or Flatline is kind of a strategic look from a business owner point of view about how they should think about their digital marketing. I try to touch on all the important aspects. I give priorities, I give recommendations, and I want it to be a real practical how-to guide, and that's what I've set out. I think I'm there with it. I get good feedback on it, but that's kind of the humble beginnings and the thoughts behind the book.
Well, I actually read part of the book. I have to admit that I didn't get to read it cover to cover, but I did read part of it, and you really do offer some exceptional guidance because you tell people, what it is that a small business owner needs to be successful in today's digital marketing age, and you cross the lines between what I call the real world and the virtual world. And of course, the bottom line is we have to know how to use this technology so that we can grow our businesses. So tell me, what is your big why behind what you do today?
The big motivation is around the fact that small businesses are the bedrock of worldwide economy. The success of these businesses, however, more and more is becoming contingent on them adjusting their business model to meet the rapidly changing consumer base. As you know, today's emerging consumer base, call it the millennials, if you will, and all future generations of consumers are going to be fueled by technology. They're growing up with technology. So if businesses can adjust their models to satisfy those technology expectations, if you will, from their clients, they'll prosper. And if they don't, they're probably going to go away over time.
Wow, that's kind of, I think I now get where the online or flatline comes from.
Exactly.
Because if you're not in it to win it, you're going to end up being a big loser. So what would you say your big message is behind online or flatline?
Having spoken to many small business owners around this topic, I sense a degree of fear or uncertainty around progressing into the digital space. And my big message is to those business owners is that you can be in full control of your digital destiny. Online or Flatline is not going to answer all your questions, but it will provide a breadth of knowledge and experience to help those business owners manage that journey. Today, without that, they're kind of at the mercy of outside organizations to help provide that guidance, and it's not bad. It's just not necessarily directly aligned to the business objectives of the owners. Online or Flatline is more about digital empowerment for those business owners. Give them that decision-making back to them.
So what is your overall big mission with all of this?
I'm currently a small business owner. As you mentioned, I own Sport Clips haircut franchises, and I've run those businesses from a digital perspective. And what I want to be seen in the broader sense as a resource for the other business owners that may not have that experience. I want to provide, and that's the intent of the book, no nonsense and practical advice to help those business owners grow the digital aspect of their business. I kind of describe it to people as Online or Flatline is written by a small business owner for small business owners.
So it's really giving people the insider's look, because often, especially you, because you have the big brand background with the Walt Disney Company and VeriSign and Boeing and everything. But then, of course, now you have the Sports Clips franchise, which just being a franchise owner developer is something that really tells me a lot about you, because the whole objective behind a franchise is that you hand somebody a ready to go package or business model, right?
Yes. The one exception, I've learned this through experience with franchises, and I think it's pretty common, is that you get handed the business model, and that's why you buy into a franchise, and that's great. But no franchise or on the planet can tell you how to market your business in your local market. What works in Southwest Florida won't necessarily work in Austin, Texas, and vice versa. So you have to, as a small business owner, be very astute about how do you acquire and retain your local clients. Is it through digital practices? Is it through traditional methods? All of the above. You have to learn to craft that portfolio, if you will, to be effective in your local market. Even between my two stores, what works in one doesn't necessarily work in the other. It's kind of an interesting local market challenge.
So basically, the reality is that a business owner has to know who their ideal client is and who their customers are so that they can serve them, and that can help them develop their strategies and their tactics just by knowing that one piece of information. So who would you say is the person you can help the most?
With Online or Flatline, what I've learned is that if there is a business owner out there that is concerned and aware of the need to become more digitally oriented in their businesses. So they have that awareness and they have that acceptance that's a need. But they typically don't know where to turn. There's a lot of broad resources out in the community that help small businesses, but they may or may not have the ability to help drive a digital strategy. So Online or Flatline is to serve that willing business owner that just wants to learn how to take the first step. And, as I've worked with small business owners around Online or Flatline, that's my, I don't want you to worry about solving all the problems here with digital. I want you to take that first step. And those that are willing to take the first step but don't know how are the real sweet spot for the book itself.
So let's dig a little deeper. And what would you say are 2 or 3 problems that most small business owners have related to digital or traditional marketing, for that matter?
I'm going to answer very broadly at first, but then I'm going to go into some specifics. The one thing I've seen, set aside digital, set aside traditional, that small business owners typically don't do or regularly don't do is treat marketing as an ongoing function. You're constantly looking to grow your client base, your customer base, and so on. So it doesn't have to be, a huge investment of time, but it needs to be regular and needs to be relentless, regardless of what tactics you need to employ. So first message is, the problem is you got to get out there and do this stuff. It's not going to take care of itself. It is a function. It's a function like your operations, like your finance and accounting, and so on. Specifically on the digital front, you get these questions all the time as examples of things the book tries to address. Is if I have a business Facebook, an example, if I have a business Facebook page, do I really, really, really need a website? Because a website costs money. It costs quite a bit of money, especially for small business owners. So that's one class of problem the book tries to address. And if you have, as another example, a business Facebook page, or pick your social favorite, should you have Twitter, Instagram? There are hundreds of social media options available to small business owners. That's a really big one. How do you get focus? What do you focus on? And how do you see the rest of the social media opportunities, if at all? And then one of my favorites, and it's a very important topic. It's kind of built as online reputation. Now businesses have so much visibility to their customer base and vice versa through these digital channels, whether it's social media or what. There's a lot of places where people can comment on the quality of your services and products, and that becomes your online reputation. So if you're not managing that and controlling that, not that you want to control the feedback, because the feedback is ultimately good or whether it's positive or negative, but you have to be a part of that conversation. And that I see many, many business owners aren't even aware of the impact of the online properties on their reputation, and it's a big deal these days.
I agree with you, and you're absolutely right, because of the fact that there's so many places for people to talk about you. You actually have to be sure that you set up something in order to monitor that. Like even Google Alerts can be helpful in that. So of all the things that you do, and obviously because Online or Flatline covers such a deep breadth, what would you say of all the things that you do, what would you say your big magical ability is when you help people?
This is kind of my view of myself, so just take it as such, but I kind of think of the world strategically. It doesn't mean there aren't daily tactical challenges you have to deal with, but for me personally, and what I wanted to provide through the book was the strategic view of digital marketing, because there are literally thousands and thousands and thousands of options if you want to go very deep on it, and small business owners just don't have the time or the wherewithal to do that. So I wanted to provide that strategic overview so that business owners could start to navigate through this maze. But I tried to deliver the messages in a very simple and no-nonsense manner. The book discusses technology, but it isn't technical. I've really tried to write it from a business owner point of view. My goal here is that the real test for me, at least, the real positive feedback is if any business owner can pick up this book and understand the concepts, I think the book has been a success. And as an anecdote here, my mom, she's 83, 84 years old. She wanted to read my book. And I'm thinking, well, she doesn't really need to read my book. I mean, I'm her son and all. I appreciate that. But, the real test was if she could read that book and understand those concepts, that to me is what Online or Flatline is all about. I honestly don't know if she's read the book, but she's offered to go do that. So, but that's the point. Anybody can pick this up and learn from it.
Well, like I said, I did, go through it, and what I read was absolutely on target. And I have this background, so I know how hard it is to stay on top of. I mean, every single day there's a change in social media. I mean, Facebook alone has changes, LinkedIn, and you're absolutely right. People are always trying to figure out, well, which thing should I do, and how does it all interconnect? And it can be really, really overwhelming. So what would you say some of the big misconceptions are related to digital marketing and digital marketing books or trainings for that matter?
This is a real example, feedback, just a story to tell around the concepts of Online or Flatline. I do several presentations. I present the high-level look at the book. And one lady came up, business owner, at the end of the session, and she told me, she said, "This is absolutely what I didn't expect." And I said, "Oh, really?" And I thought, is this good or bad? And then she says, I came into this room to hear this presentation expecting to be, as an example, told I need to do search engine optimization. And, oh, by the way, the speaker can help you with that. And she walked away saying, no, you gave me this broad picture, and back to the empowerment, that I can feel comfortable now making these conscious decisions about, expanding my digital presence. And, I feel good about this. She wasn't, didn't feel she was being sold something. She was just being educated and providing real value. And the fact that she walked into the room with one perception and walked out with another shows me, and it's not that the search engine optimization or pick your discipline is a bad thing at all. It's just there are so many specialists in this field. You need the specialist. That's to your earlier point. It's very overwhelming. Do I really need search engine optimization? Well, what is this thing, search engine marketing? It sounds good. Do I just spend a bunch of money and find out? And Online or Flatline is not that. It's to kind of give this big picture look and to put that decision back in the hands of the business owner itself.
Well, I think you're absolutely right. And often when you go into a training or a workshop, many people get overwhelmed with just it's so much information.
Right.
It is like holding that fire hose and going, okay, here you go.
Yep.
So how do you work with people? Do you work with them one-on-one? Do you coach them? How do you communicate and work with people?
I do the workshops. I enjoy doing the workshops because it gives me, I'm hopefully providing value, obviously, but it gives me feedback on my messaging and things like that. I want to make sure I always communicate what I'm trying to get across and stay out of the glazed eyes of some things that you can easily get into here. So there's that. I do a lot of direct coaching with business owners. And as we discussed earlier, my goal is to get them to take that first step. And if they take that first step based on my guidance or my workshop, and they can start to feel comfortable, they can progress, not fully without some backup support, but they can kind of get control of this and do it themselves. I know that's sometimes not very popular with some of the service providers, but I have a technical background, so I have a little bit of an advantage here. But, I picked up, Facebook for Business as an example, and made a boatload of mistakes, with my own business. And, that's in the book. You'll see some of the mistakes in the business, but that's how you learn this stuff. And as you just mentioned, it's changing so rapidly. You can't really, have someone stay on top of this for you. You have to get out there and do this stuff on a regular basis. So I do the workshops, I do one-on-one coaching, plus follow-up and things of that nature. But my goal ultimately is to enable the small business owner to self-serve here.
So if there was one piece of advice you would give a small business owner today, what would that be?
Well, and this is easy to say intellectually, and I can accept that emotionally it's a very hard thing to do, but the one message that I would give a small business owner is around digital marketing: set aside your fear. It may be new to you. It's new to everyone. You may not be comfortable with it. No one's comfortable with it when they get into it. So try to, as best you can, set aside that fear and maybe with the encouragement of Online or Flatline, take that step. And, you're going to make some mistakes. Set that fear aside. You're going to make mistakes in front of the public. I've made mistakes in front of my audience, if you will. And you're not going to, you're going to survive that. In fact, it makes you even more human to your audience, especially in social media if you're out there. They react very well to it. So there's a whole series of fears that kind of present themselves when business owners go to make this transition that are understandable. But I'm saying the fear is one thing. Set it aside. You will be okay. Accept the fact that you will make mistakes, and you're going to actually be better because of it. So it's that how do you talk them off the ledge, if you will, into jumping into the pool and enjoying the pool.
Well, as someone who was a newbie at one point in time, you're absolutely right. You just have to step into it. And because technology changes all the time, I'm constantly having to overcome my fear of using technology with Facebook Live, for example.
Right.
And they have Facebook audio coming soon. I mean, if you think of all the different things, you can certainly use digital marketing as a real personal growth tool. That's for certain.
Right.
So I understand that you have a free gift for our audience. So can you tell us more about where we can find it and more where we can make connections with you, Nick?
Sure. Yeah, on my website, nickchoat.com, NICKCHOAT.com, on the homepage, right where you land, there's a simple form to complete to get download a free chapter of the book. The one I selected to download, I'm trying to, it doesn't have all aspects of digital marketing in that first chapter, obviously, but I wanted to give the reader of that free first chapter a sense of who I am and my view of the world and what they can expect in the book and kind of the tone of the book going forward. So hopefully it's something that, people could read. Say, I get this guy, he's here to, help. He's here to add value in this decision-making process. So yeah, feel free. Anybody that wants to take a test drive of the book, feel free to download it.
Oh, wow. Thanks. So you go to nickchoat.com, Nick Choat, and you'll be able to get a free chapter of Online or Flatline. So that's a really awesome tool. So, Nick, is there anything else that I may have forgotten to ask you that you would like to tell our audience?
The only thing, I tell this story just to give people a sense for me, and I'm very proud of my background. I've been very fortunate to work with some very large brand names, if you will, like Disney. But, the essence of me, I grew up in rural East Tennessee, at the, not in the mountains, but very close to them. And my dad and grandfather owned a grocery business, a small country store, if you will. And I started working there when I was 10 years old. And that became my defining moment that defines me, even to this day, understanding those roots and playing those roots forward many years now to be able to, now yet again a small business owner, replay that, if you will, in a much different context, but it's those same roots out there. So that's a little bit of my history and background, and it's important to me to get that out there because, people many times hear, words like, well, this is a Disney executive. Well, yeah, I was. I'm very grateful for that opportunity, but, I'm just a regular person out there trying to help other people. So that's kind of the one big message that comes out. It's in the book. The story's in the book as well, but I like to tell that story when I'm doing workshops and things of that nature, just to, kind of center people on my philosophy, if you will. And you just think rural East Tennessee, country store kind of thing, and you'll get it.
Well, I think you're absolutely right. People appreciate the fact that we all start somewhere and we develop and grow. And now we're at this point where we have these big messages and big missions and our big why. That's why I asked you those questions in the beginning of our interview, because no matter what it is that we're doing, at some point we realize that we have this knowledge and it's our duty to get it out there,
right,
so that other people don't have to spend years and years, trying to figure it all out. So congratulations again on your international bestseller, Online or Flatline. And of course, you can go to your website and get the free chapter, or you can go get the whole book at Amazon, and you can get it in either the Kindle version or the paperback version there. So that's really cool. So Nick, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
Well, thanks for having me, Tammy. It's been a pleasure.
This is Tammy Patzer. Go make it a beautiful day.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.